The richest cowboy in the valley took one bite of the warm apple pie, then slowly set down his fork. The entire dining room fell silent as he asked one question no one expected. "Who baked this apple pie?" No one answered. Then, in the corner of the kitchen, stood a quiet woman covered in flour, the one everyone ignored for years. What happened after he called her forward changed not only her life, but the fate of the entire ranch forever. The autumn harvest celebration brought people from every ranch for miles around. Long wooden tables stretched across the open yard beneath a clear blue sky. Fresh bread, roasted vegetables, slow-cooked beef, and homemade desserts covered every inch of the tables. Families laughed together while children chased one another across the grass. Fiddles played cheerful tunes as neighbors shared stories from another successful season. Among the guests was Wyatt Carter, one of the wealthiest cowboys in the territory. Although many admired his success, they respected him even more for his quiet manners and fair treatment of others. Wyatt never believed that money made one person more important than another. His late mother had taught him that every honest worker deserved gratitude. As the meal began, volunteers carried out the final desserts. Warm apple pies rested on large wooden boards, their golden crusts shining in the afternoon light. The sweet scent of baked apples, cinnamon, and butter drifted through the gathering. Wyatt accepted a slice with a polite smile. He thanked the young server before taking his first bite. The moment the pie touched his tongue, he stopped. The conversations around him faded into the background. For a brief moment he was no longer sitting at the crowded harvest table. He remembered standing as a young boy beside his mother in a small farmhouse kitchen. She would gently place strips of dough across each pie before sliding it into the old brick oven. She always smiled and said, "A meal made with care will always bring people together." The memory stayed with him long after she was gone. Wyatt slowly placed his fork on the plate and looked around the gathering. His calm voice carried farther than anyone expected. "Who baked this apple pie?" The laughter slowly disappeared. Musicians lowered their instruments. Neighbors exchanged uncertain glances. The ranch owner proudly thanked everyone for attending the celebration, but he never answered the question. Wyatt asked again, this time with a warm smile. "I would simply like to thank the person who made it." An older kitchen helper quietly stepped forward. She glanced toward the open kitchen door before speaking in a gentle voice. "That pie was made by Clara." Every face turned toward the back of the kitchen. Standing beside a wood stove was a quiet woman wearing a simple faded dress and a clean white apron dusted with flour. She lowered her eyes, hoping the attention would pass as quickly as it had come. Wyatt noticed something that puzzled him. No one called her forward. No one thanked her. No one even spoke her name. Without saying another word, Wyatt stood from his chair and walked toward the kitchen, determined to meet the woman whose simple apple pie had stirred a memory he thought time had erased forever. Wyatt stopped a few steps from the kitchen doorway and removed his hat as a sign of respect. "Are you Clara?" he asked with a kind smile. The woman looked up with surprise. Few visitors had ever spoken to her directly. "Yes, sir," she answered softly. "I baked the pie." Wyatt smiled. "It reminded me of my mother's cooking. Thank you for making something so special." For a moment Clara did not know how to respond. She had prepared meals for hundreds of people over the years, but no one had ever walked into the kitchen just to thank her. "You are very kind," she said quietly. "I only do my work." Wyatt glanced around the kitchen. The room was warm from the old wood stove. Fresh bread rested on cooling racks, vegetables simmered in large pots, and another apple pie waited on the table. Everything was neat and carefully arranged. "You made all of this?" Wyatt asked. Clara nodded. "I have cooked every meal for this ranch for many years." Before she could say more, the ranch owner stepped into the kitchen. "Clara has always been our cook," he said with a quick smile. "She keeps busy back here while the rest of us take care of the ranch." Wyatt thanked him politely, but something about the answer did not feel complete. As they spoke, several ranch hands quietly entered the kitchen to return empty serving bowls. Each one paused long enough to thank Clara before leaving. One young cowboy grinned and said, "Your biscuits helped me through my first winter here." Another worker smiled. "My little daughter still talks about your apple pie every Sunday." Clara simply smiled and wished each of them a safe journey home. Wyatt noticed the respect in their voices. It was clear that the workers valued Clara far more than anyone had admitted. He realized that the finest part of the ranch was not its land, its cattle, or its large buildings. It was the quiet woman standing beside the stove, serving others with patience and care, asking for nothing in return. Wyatt left the kitchen with one thought on his mind. There was much more to Clara's story, and he intended to learn every part of it. The celebration slowly came to an end as families packed their baskets and wagons rolled toward home. Before leaving, Wyatt asked Clara if she would join him for a cup of coffee on the quiet front porch of the ranch house. She hesitated for a moment, then gently agreed. The evening sun painted the fields with a warm golden light. For a while, neither of them spoke. They simply watched the breeze move through the tall grass. Finally, Wyatt broke the silence. "You have a gift, Clara. I can tell your cooking comes from the heart. Where did you learn?" A gentle smile appeared on her face. "My mother taught me when I was a little girl," she said. "She believed every meal should make someone feel welcome. She said food could comfort people even when words could not." Her smile slowly faded. "My husband and I once owned a small bakery in a nearby town. We worked together every day. It was not a grand place, but people came because they felt at home." She paused before continuing. "After he became ill, I cared for him until the very end. When he was gone, I could not keep the bakery open by myself. I came here looking for honest work, and this ranch gave me a chance to begin again." Wyatt listened without interrupting. "You never told anyone?" he asked. Clara looked toward the quiet kitchen. "There was no reason. I was thankful to have work. I believed serving others was enough." Her words stayed with Wyatt. He remembered his mother's favorite saying, "The strongest hearts are often the quietest." As the last rays of sunlight disappeared beyond the hills, Wyatt quietly made a promise to himself. The woman who had spent years bringing comfort to others would no longer remain unseen. The following Saturday, Wyatt invited ranch families, neighbors, and local merchants to a gathering at his own ranch. Word spread quickly that he wished to celebrate the hard-working people who kept their community strong. By sunset, the yard was filled with smiling faces. Long tables were covered with fresh bread, roasted vegetables, homemade jams, and several apple pies prepared by Clara. Children played beneath the tall oak trees while neighbors shared stories from the busy harvest season. As everyone settled into their seats, Wyatt stood near the center of the gathering. Before anyone reached for a plate, he raised his hand. "Tonight," he said, "before we enjoy this wonderful meal, there is someone we must thank." The conversation stopped. People looked around, wondering who he meant. Wyatt turned toward the farmhouse kitchen. "Clara, would you please join us?" She froze for a moment, certain he must be calling someone else. Several workers smiled and gently encouraged her forward. With quiet steps, Clara walked into the open yard, still wearing her simple apron. Wyatt welcomed her with a warm smile. "This meal reminds us that every table depends on someone whose work is often unseen. Clara has spent years preparing food that has brought comfort, joy, and friendship to this community. Tonight, we honor her." For a brief moment, the crowd was silent. Then an elderly ranch hand began to clap. Another joined him. Soon the entire gathering was filled with warm applause. Many of the workers stepped forward one by one, sharing memories of Clara's kindness. Some remembered warm meals after long days in the fields. Others spoke of fresh bread left at their doors during difficult seasons. Parents thanked her for always saving an extra slice of pie for their children. Clara's eyes filled with quiet emotion. For the first time in many years, she felt something she had almost forgotten. She felt seen, appreciated, and truly at home. In the weeks that followed, something wonderful began to happen. People from nearby towns started visiting the ranch, hoping to taste the apple pie everyone had been talking about. Each time they arrived, Wyatt made sure they knew exactly who had baked it. Before long, Clara's name became known throughout the valley, not because she had asked for attention, but because her kindness had touched so many lives. One morning, Wyatt invited Clara to an old building on the edge of town. The windows had been polished, the walls repaired, and the kitchen filled with new baking tools. A simple wooden sign hung above the front door. Clara's kitchen. Clara looked at the sign with tears of joy in her eyes. "I cannot accept something so generous," she whispered. Wyatt smiled. "You already have. You earned it one pie at a time." The little bakery soon became a favorite gathering place. Families shared stories over warm slices of pie, travelers stopped for fresh bread, and children always left with a smile. As for Clara, she never forgot the years she spent working quietly behind the kitchen door. They had taught her that true kindness does not seek applause. And every time someone asked, "Who baked this apple pie?" the answer came with a proud smile. Clara did. Sometimes, the greatest change begins with a simple question and a grateful heart. As the sun set over the valley, the sweet aroma of fresh apple pie continued to drift from Clara's little bakery, reminding everyone that the smallest acts of kindness are often remembered the longest. Wyatt did not change Clara's life with money. He changed it by giving credit where it truly belonged. And in doing so, he reminded an entire community that every person deserves to be seen, valued, and appreciated. Thank you for joining us on this heartfelt journey. If this story touched your heart, please take a moment to like this video. Your support helps us share more inspiring stories with people around the world. Subscribe to the channel for more original Wild West stories filled with courage, compassion, hope, and unforgettable characters. Turn on the notification bell so you never miss a new adventure. And now we would love to hear from you. If you had been in Wyatt's place, what would you have done to honor Clara? Share your thoughts in the comments below. We read every comment and enjoy hearing your perspective. Until next time, thank you for watching, and may kindness always find its way back to you.